Hey everybody, welcome to ThaxCast. As always, my name's Terrell. Thanks for coming by. I'm sorry it's been a while since my last video, but I've had the complete and utter non-motivation that sometimes comes with depression. But today I want to talk about something that's really interesting to me, and I hope you'll find it interesting too. I wanted to talk today about Audie Murphy. Now, some people know him as an actor, some people know him as a war hero, and he's both, but it goes deeper than that. And I'm just going to scratch the surface today because there's so much to cover, but I hope to just whet your interest and maybe you'll look up more into him later. Audie Leon Murphy was born in Kingston, Texas, just northeast of Dallas on June 20th, 1925. He was the seventh child of 12 to sharecroppers Emmett Murphy and Josie Killian. His father Emmett left him when he was young, so Audie dropped out of the 5th grade to take a job to help support the family. He also hunted small game to help feed his family, and so became skilled with a rifle. After the Pearl Harbor attack in December 1941, he tried to enlist, as this had already been a desire of his. But he was turned away for being too little and underage. His sister then provided false documentation that changed his birth date by a year, and he was accepted into the U.S. Army on June 30th, 1942. During basic training, he earned the Marksman Badge with Rifle Component Bar and Expert Badge with Bayonet Component Bar. He was shipped to Casablanca in French Morocco in February 1943 as a platoon messenger. He was promoted to Private First Class on May 7th and Corporal on July 15th, all in the same year. 5 days prior to being promoted to Corporal, while on a scouting patrol, he killed 2 Italian officers that were fleeing the 3rd Infantry landing at Licata, Sicily. In September 1943, he participated in the landing at Battipaglia. While on a scouting mission along the Volturno River, he and 2 other soldiers were ambushed by Germans with machine gun fire. One of the soldiers died, but Murphy and his other partner responded by killing 5 Germans with hand grenades and their own machine gun fire. While taking part in the October Allied assault on the Volturno line, he and his company repelled an attack by 7 German soldiers, killing 3 and taking 4 prisoner. Murphy was then promoted to sergeant on December 13, 1943. A month later, in January 1944, he was promoted to staff sergeant. He contracted malaria shortly after and had to miss the initial landing at Anzio. He returned to duty a little over a week later to participate in the First Battle of Cisterna, and was made platoon sergeant in Company B following that battle. He returned with the 3rd Division to Anzio, where they stayed for months. On March 2, 1944, while taking shelter from the weather in an abandoned farmhouse, Murphy and his platoon killed the crew of a passing German tank. He then crawled out alone and got close enough to destroy the tank with rifle grenades, for which he received the Bronze Star with V device for valor. On August 15, 1944, Murphy was part of the first wave of the Allied invasion of southern France. His platoon was going through a vineyard when German soldiers attacked. Murphy grabbed a machine gun and returned fire, killing 2 and wounding 1. About 100 yards away, 2 Germans came out of a house and appeared to surrender. When Murphy's best friend went to respond, the Germans shot and killed him. Murphy advanced on the house alone, under fire, and killed 6, wounded 2, and took 11 prisoner. For this, he received the Distinguished Service Cross. There are more stories just like this, each one a testament to this man's badassery, and most earning him some honor or award. I just simply don't have the time to tell each one and do them all justice. All in all, this short man from Texas, standing at a modest 5'5", earned every military combat award for valor available in the U.S. Army, as well as French and Belgian awards for heroism, making him the most decorated soldier of World War II, and the 2nd most decorated soldier in American history. After coming back from the war, James Cagney saw the July 1945 issue of Life magazine detailing Murphy. Cagney reached out to Murphy, brought him to Hollywood, and signed him as a contract player for their production company and gave him training in acting, singing, and dance. They had a personal disagreement that ended their partnership in 1947, but Murphy had an acting career that followed him from 1948 until 1969. Murphy also published a book in 1949 called To Hell and Back that detailed his World War II experience. He also reluctantly agreed to appear as himself in the movie adaptation of his book in 1955. He had a long and distinguished acting career that spanned roughly 20 years and around 50 different movies and TV shows. In the 1950s, he also spent some time in the Texas Army National Guard drilling recruits. He went inactive for a few years to fulfill film commitments, and then back to active duty as a major, and then inactive again in 1957. After his time in World War II, a medical exam found symptoms of headaches, vomiting, and nightmares about the war. This was known as shell shock, later known as battle fatigue, and is now known as post-traumatic stress disorder. He was having insomnia, depression, and was sleeping with a loaded pistol under his pillow. He was taking sleeping pills to help prevent the nightmares. In the 1960s, he recognized his dependence on the highly addictive drugs and decided to do something about it. He locked himself in a hotel room for a week to break the addiction, and it worked. Always an advocate for the needs of veterans, he broke the taboo about discussing war-related mental problems after his experience. In an effort to draw attention to the problems of returning Korean and Vietnam War veterans, Audie Murphy spoke out candidly about his personal problems with battle fatigue. He called for the United States government to research more into the emotional impact that war has on veterans and to extend healthcare benefits to address PTSD and other mental health problems of returning war vets. While on a business trip on Memorial Day weekend 1971, he was killed. A private plane flying in fog and rain crashed on the side of a mountain near Roanoke, Virginia. 5 others, including the pilot, were also killed. At the time of his death, Audie Murphy was only given a combined total of 1 minute and 30 seconds of news time by the major television news networks ABC, CBS, and NBC. On June 7, 1971, Audie Murphy was laid to rest with full military honors in Arlington National Cemetery. He had previously specifically requested that his grave not have the gold leaf decoration normally given to Medal of Honor recipients, and instead have a plain, inconspicuous headstone of an ordinary soldier. His grave is the second most visited in the cemetery after President Kennedy, so a special flagstone walkway was constructed to accommodate the large amount of foot traffic. The Swedish metal band Sabaton even had an album called Heroes in 2014 with a song To Hell and Back that referenced Audie Murphy and told his story, and it talks about Anzio and how if there's going to be heroes of war, it needs to be men like this guy. I'll put a link in the description and you should definitely take a look at it later. That's about it for this video, and I didn't even tell you what's possibly the most badass story that this man has. But I hope that it whets your interest, and I hope maybe you'll go look into it and find out what that story is for yourself. As always, if you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. Your comments are always appreciated. I do take a look at them. Remember to hit that subscribe button. As always, thanks for coming by. Be good to each other, and have a good one.